All right, check one, check two. We're live and we are in effect. Everybody, welcome to the free mathematics workshop series. This series was designed to go for 2 weeks because initially we were out of school for 2 weeks. Right now, it is going on indefinitely every Monday through Thursday, 12 o'clock to 12:15. We may go a little bit longer. Thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in, whether you're on my website, christopherchiles.com/free workshop. Some of you are tuning in via Facebook. We have the chat feature going on the website. We have the chat feature also going on Facebook. So no matter where you're consuming it, we truly appreciate each and every one of you today as we discuss the 5 tips to become a mathematics coach. Now, you're going to look at your screen. It's a little different. You're used to just seeing your boy. Got a new face on the show today. So I'm going to let my superstar introduce herself to you all.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Georgina Rivera. I work for Bristol Public Schools, and I'm a elementary STEM supervisor, math coach, and I'm just so excited to be with all of you today. I'm so happy that Chris invited me, and I'm just excited to learn with all of you today as we go on this little journey on how to possibly become a math coach, right? We're going to inspire people, Chris?
We're going to do more than inspire you. By the end of this show, people are going to go online and actually find jobs and start applying to become a math coach.
Love it.
All right. So you all know, if you've been watching the show, if it's your first time watching the show, I do a CYA every time because a lot of people like to get involved with lawyers. I do too. So just in case, my statements and opinions are my own. So you can't say, oh, Dr. Child said this, representing this. Nope. This is my stuff. First, we want to start off the show with this quote. You want to prime the pump for the quote for our viewers?
Sure. So anybody that knows me knows I always start in circle, and I usually start with a quote or an activity. So today's quote is, coaching is unlocking a person's potential to maximize their own performance. It is helping them to learn rather than teaching them. So when I read that, you know, what part, let me ask you, Chris, what part resonates with you on that?
To me, what really resonates is maximize. That word stands out to me. Because a lot of times I think I have a quote that also says there's no traffic on the extra mile. So when you're maximizing, you're going that extra mile. You're not just doing what everyone does or a little bit. You're going above and beyond. What are your thoughts?
For me, it's really about helping them to learn. I think a lot of coaches go into the mindset that I'm going to go fix a teacher or I'm going to help them by teaching them something. And really what you're doing is you're leading them through a progression of learning. And so that's how we really maximize people's potential, is being able to help them learn. So it goes back to that saying, I'm going to teach you how to fish. Really, I'm going to teach you how to do this well. And so you can understand how you work as a learner. So that, I think, would really help people in their coaching roles.
So to all the coaches out there, all the future coaches, I don't know what a coach is, but I want to learn. This is the show for you all to check out and for you all to watch. I promise you, just with that quote alone, I'm excited. As we always state, you always want to have a goal in whatever you're doing. When you're coaching someone else, you want to have a goal. When you're doing a presentation, you want to have a goal. Always keep in mind what is going to be your goal for what you're doing. That way people can honestly think about, do I belong here or is this not for me? So start off with the goal. It's just, let's be on the same page. So here's our goal. Participants will learn 5 essential tips to become a mathematics coach. A lot of you always say, what's the handout look like? What can I write some tips down? If you have access to a printer, or some people screenshot it and do it on their iPad, on the top of my website, I have the handout listed where you can follow along with us also. And then my superstar co-host is going to show off a neat, dandy handout in a moment. Don't show them yet. Don't show them yet.
I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it.
No spoiler alerts.
Nope.
I love the first quote, but to me, that quote was cool. I love this quote also because it's from my co-host. Coaches must be learners.
Yes. Yes. So I really tried to think about, like, how can I ground this learning in an acronym? Because I know that people remember acronyms. So you could see that the word learn is in bold. So if you want to follow along with us and take notes, Chris created a great handout if you can get to that. But if you don't, just like literally grab a piece of paper and write the letters LEARN And as you follow along, you're going to learn 5 tips that really can help you prepare to be a math coach. Because I know I get the question all the time, Chris. You know, how did you become a coach? How did you
Yep.
prepare? And
Yep.
so I tried to summarize it in these 5 ideas, and that's what we're going to work on today. And the goal, Chris, like we talked about, is you're going to make one commitment. So I'm going to share 5 things, but we can't do 5 things. We know that. So we're going to pick one thing and commit ourselves to doing that, because we know in these uncertain times, we have some downtime right now, right? So we could do some learning, and that's really the thing that we could be doing to prepare ourselves for that next role.
Now, as we go through these 5 tips,
Yeah.
you all may have some questions. While we love to engage on social media, that's fun. For right now, if you have a question, you can ask it live on the show. If you go to christopherchilds.com/free workshop, you can submit a question and we'll call you and you can ask your question live on the show. Just to throw it out there to prime the pump to get you all ready, as you all may have questions. Now, we spell out the word learn, Learn. The very first L stands for learn, no secret there, but it's learning through professional organizations. To me, being a part of a professional organization has been critical to a lot of people say their success. I look at it as being critical to my growth. What about you?
So I made it the first L because I agree with you, Chris. Like when I started off teaching and when I was coaching, joining NCTM and NCSM was critical to my growth because it provided 2 pieces for me. It was number 1, it was professional learning with research-based practices, and number 2, it was networking. So if you're not a part of NCTM or NCSM, then you need to become part of a professional organization. And the other piece is you want to like attend a conference. So it's not just enough to like be a member, get involved, volunteer, go to sessions. And if you want to be a coach, look for those coaching sessions and get in there. And I have some exciting news. I don't know if you heard, Chris.
Go. What's the exciting news? Go.
NCSM is having a free virtual conference. Now, normally conferences cost so much money, but if you want to learn
How
about
much was it? How much again? How much?
free, it's free. And
FREE, free. Just making sure
right.
everyone understands it's free.
Yeah, so if you join on the 30th and the 31st, you can get free professional learning and attend a coaching session for NCSM. I think Chris may be there. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure. Chris?
I suggest you join. Be there Monday
Yeah.
afternoon. I will say the time. I don't remember the time, but I will be there Monday afternoon in the virtual world. I got some new stuff. Like it's going to be epic.
Right.
So
And the sessions are fire. The sessions are fire. So like if that might be your commitment is join a professional organization and attend this virtual conference. And that might be your start.
Some of you are like, all right, that's great, NCTM, NCSM, but also you have professional organizations at the local level too.
Right.
And we're going to talk about those a little bit later in the show. So thinking about not just nationally, but what about your local ones? And someone's going to say, Chris, it's expensive. You think about it from this perspective. Mm-hmm. You're investing in yourself. It's just like when you go get better foods, you spend a little bit more money, but it's going to be better for your body. You're investing in this. You're going to have this your entire life. So how can you make an investment in yourself? Joining professional organizations provides you that opportunity to invest in the best person you're ever going to meet. Right. You.
Yeah. And you get to be with like-minded people. Like sometimes, the math world can be a little lonely, but all of a sudden when I teach, I have a running joke that says when I tell people like I teach math, they're like, they tell their math anxiety story. But when I go to NCSM and NCTM, I'm like, everybody loves math. I'm like, well, where do you get to go to that in life? Right. So yes. That's why I would highly encourage people to do that.
And if the virtual, I'm putting it on the table. I'm doing something special after a virtual conference because if you know me, I do events. If there are physical conferences in the city, I do the after hour events. I'm going to try something new for a virtual conference. I don't know what it is. I know what it is, but just be prepared.
Tell us.
I'll tell you. You got to follow me on Twitter. All right. Okay. So we start off with L. The next letter is E, explore. Yep. Exploring adult learning. This is critical. All of these are critical to your success. So I'm going to say this is critical. This is critical also. Right. You're working with other adults. It's different than when you're teaching in a classroom with your students. It's a different mindset. It's a different level of discussion, but you're still helping them grow and learn.
Right. Yeah, I put this in as number 2 because this was, for me, the thing that hit me the hardest my first year coaching. Because working with adults, with kids, they're so open to ideas, but adults are different. They come with experience, they come with a lot of knowledge. And so it's a different type of learning. And so the advice that I would give here is you need to look at the work of Learning Forward, because they do a lot with adult learning, and really validate who they are and the learning that they bring into the space before you start coaching them. And so, like, as I work with adults, I realize that I need to listen more, and I need to validate, and I need to honor their voice. Even though I might have my own goals and objectives, I've got to figure out how to weave those two together. The other piece is you have to learn how to do professional development for adults. It's not the same.
Yes,
It's not like
it's,
teaching a class, right?
I
Like,
know.
we've got to engage them in different ways. So if you can do any learning around that, that's going to be really important. And the last piece I would say is, if you haven't read the book Switch by Chip and Dan Heath, it really talks about adult change. And adult change has to do with adults have to know the why. If you want me to change something, I need to know why I need to change it. Kids, they just go with it. But adults, they need to know the why, they need to know the what, and they need to know the how. And it's got to be clear. You've got to have set goals. It's got to be focused on essentials. You've got to know exactly what you're aiming for, because they want to feel successful. And I found that with coaches who don't have a plan and don't really know how to work with adults, then they really fall apart quickly in their coaching. So you have to really spend some time doing some learning on how adults learn, how to present professional development, and how to really work with adults when you're in the classroom and when you're working with teens and with adults like principals, right?
And we got to think about when it's working with adults. I have a thing I call the ebb and flow. When you
Yep.
get to know them, they get to know you, because you're
Mhm.
coming from 2 different lived experiences. So
Right.
with that being said, you have to get to know other people just as much as you're helping them learn, helping them grow. You're teaching them. In the same time, they're filling your bucket also, because it's a relationship. It's not just I'm going to give it to you, but how do we develop a relationship and collaboratively work together to benefit our students? So we start off with L, start off
Yep.
with E. Now we're at A. We're at A, active. We're at
Right.
active. B, this is my favorite one.
Okay.
All right, I said all of them are favorite. This is my, just because you all know,
He's on his third favorite, people.
I, I love social media. I'm still on MySpace. I'm on College Club. I'm on Black Planet. I was gonna say another one, but it may go to the left. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I'm on all of these. Social media is where it's at.
Yes.
But before we jump into it, at the very end we say professionally. You
Right.
need to separate your life. I know I don't want to do it. Trust me, separate your life. You can have a personal page and do whatever you want to do, but you need to have a professional page. And be careful with your personal page, because people find it, and a lot of people have gotten in trouble about it. But
Right.
we're referring to a professional facing social media presence. Some are better than others. I'm going to start off with Twitter. Right now, all right, so education lags when it comes to the newest social media phase. TikTok is hot right now. Everybody's TikToking, doing viral dances. Education as a whole, we're still on Twitter, which is not a bad thing, but just being cognizant. If you're out on TikTok looking for your fellow math coaches, you're probably not going to find them there.
So I would say, for me, Twitter has been a great way for me to develop a professional learning network. So like when I started to be a coach, there was only a few of us in the district. So the first thing I did was follow other coaches so I could start learning.
I'm just showing my Twitter feed.
You're showing your Twitter feed?
Showing my Twitter feed.
And I think what's really important there is you need to follow hashtags that really follow math and coaching. So if you don't follow MTBOS, hashtag MTBOS, right? We follow that. And
all right, let's break it down.
EduCoach.
MTBOS is the math Twitter blogosphere.
Right.
They're everything mathematics. So some of our listeners are like, what's it? Math Twitter blogosphere, MTBOS.
Yeah. And then I follow EduCoach, so EDU Coach, just because that's educational coaching, and I follow those. And like Chris said, like you need to start branding yourself around that idea of this is my professional learning space. So if you look at my Twitter at Math Coach Rivera, it's all about math. It's all about coaching and education and highlighting the work within my schools and my district. I don't put my personal life on there because it's really about coaching and math. If I was to do something like that, like Chris said, you need to keep that separate because this is all about learning and you want to link in with other people who are learning the same kinds of things. Or, you know what's great, Chris? I don't know if you've done this, pose a question and then people chime in on the comments.
Yes.
That's the best.
Yes. It's a relationship building mechanism. So, and think about when you're posting on Twitter or your social media professionally, would you do this at work in front of your supervisor? Would you do this at work in front of your administrator? Would you do it in front of your parents? So that's the mindset you want to have. Now, one of the things when you're on there, we talked about hashtags that are very great to follow. You also want to follow, if you're looking to be a math coach, you need to follow some math coaches that are killing the game and doing some great things.
Yeah.
Now, I know I'm going to get backlash from my math coach friends because if I name one, somebody's going to say I did not name them.
Yeah.
So I'm only going to name one. Matter of fact, to make it fair, I'm going to go on my Twitter feed. The first math coach name I see, that's going to be a math coach that I'm going to tell you all to follow. Yeah. So going on my Twitter feed, slowly but surely. All right, I'm not going on my Twitter feed. No, it's pausing. All right, there we go. So I'm going on my Twitter feed. The first math coach name that I see, that is who I want you all to follow. So I'm scrolling.
Yeah.
The first name that came up, Mary Kemper. So she's not a math coach, but she's at the district level over mathematics. So Mary Kemper, her Twitter handle is, and again, she was the first one. So don't everyone else call me and say, you didn't say shot. I'll be shouting people out. Her Twitter handle, MRSKEMPER. So that was the first one. So everybody else, it's a lot more math coaches. If you DM me, I'll tell you some more to follow. Who would be your number one math coach or math educator we're going to follow?
Only one?
Only one.
So right away, I think about someone who shares a lot, and I would say Margie Pierce. If you don't follow Margie Pierce, I think it's at Margie Pierce. I'd have to look on my phone. But if you don't follow her, she shares a lot of materials. She's very generous, and she responds to questions. So I tend to follow her.
We're going to go to the next one. I feel some type of way. She didn't say follow me, but that's okay, y'all. All right, so R
hey,
is reading.
You didn't follow me, so I don't know. No hard feelings.
I said I was going to the first person. She actually thought about it and didn't even think about your boy.
Yes, I didn't want to taint the people. I got to keep it fair.
Where are my tissues? I feel some type of way.
Get them a tissue, people. Oh, geez.
All right. LEA, what comes after? It's like we're doing elementary. What comes after A, not the alphabet, but for this, R. Read.
Yes.
So professional organizations build your mind. You need to, I work with pre-service teachers. I work with a lot of math educators. You need to be reading a minimum 15 to 20 minutes every day, Monday through Friday. I give you the weekends off. If you want to go above and beyond and maximize, you do it all 7 days. You need to be reading 15 to 20 minutes every day. Something math, not education related, math education related. I give you a couple of my books and a couple of things to read, but you got to read. Too many people are just regurgitating what they heard from someone else who's misquoting. It's reading is all right. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna let you go because I will talk about reading all day. I love to read. And I share I got a couple books.
Go ahead. You want to share first? Go ahead. He's going to grab. So I'm not in my office because I'm quarantined, so I can't show my books.
So I read so much and so many books on my shelf. I pick the most recent when I talk about books I'm reading. My most recent book right now is Culturally Responsive Teaching and the Brain by Rivera. That's my book. I got a million other books I can run down. My second favorite, so this is my current book. My go-to book, NCTM, National Council of Teachers and Mathematics Principles to Action. If you desire to be a math coach, if you desire to be a math educator, if you desire to do anything in the math world, you must read Principles to Action. We're going to give you another one from NCSM, but this is the base. Before I can have a conversation, a discussion with someone, I ask them, have you read Principles to Action? If the answer is no, we're going to have a different discussion. It's not going to go as you think it's going to go. but I know you got a book, and there's a new book that's out there. So we're gonna plug a book too.
Yes, so it's coming. So for NCSM, it's going to be the framework for leadership in mathematics. It's not out yet, but get ready because you definitely want to read that book. I agree with you, Chris. Principles to Action. If you haven't read that, that's a must read.
Mm-hmm.
The other book that for me is probably a go-to is The Visible Learning for Mathematics by Fisher and Fry. The research in there, it's the Hattie book, but just for mathematics. I go there all the time to look at research-based practices. So that's one of my things just for mathematics specific. There it is. Yeah, that's a go-to. That's a go-to. And then for a lot of people ask me about coaching books. So there's two different things. If I'm talking about soft skills, building structures, Art of Coaching by Elena Aguilar. If you haven't read that, that's an amazing coaching book. She has The Art of Coaching and The Art of Coaching Teams. If you want to go with math, it's everything you want to know about mathematics coaching. That's by Maggie McGatha, Jennifer Bay Williams, Beth Cobbett, and John Ray. I mean, there's so many things about the shifts that align with the math practices, and it's specific to math and coaching. So those books would be critical. And of course, the books that you held up. So, I mean, there's just so much, but I agree with you, Chris. Like, leaders need to be reading and learning all the time. And you can't go off other people's ideas. You need to have your own set of ideas, right? And then they start to confirm each other. Like, as I read more, I'm like, okay, they're all starting to say similar things, and I feel good because now I know that's a leverage point for me as a coach.
And the key is, yes, we're giving you a lot of books. You're like, that's a lot to read. When you're reading every single day, like this book is nothing. And I'm not saying it's nothing like it's not a good book. It's this book is with the glossary. This book is 160 pages. Yeah. I can knock this out in a week. I can literally knock this out in a day or two, but I do it a week.
So I think, Chris, we should have a challenge. Like, people
what's your challenge?
Pick a book, they should write in the comments what book they're going to commit to, because I have a feeling some people are going to commit to a book after this.
So whatever platform you're watching this on, if it's Facebook, if it's YouTube when I post a replay, if it's the website, in the comments, put down, not on Twitter, in the comments, because we save those, write down what book you're going to commit to. Just one. But
that could be a commitment. Yeah.
But yeah, my bookshelf, every book has been read. This will be knocked out soon. And I have like a list of 5 to 10 books that I have a bucket list. I just go down, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Read books. Leaders are readers. Readers are leaders. Like that. I got that from somebody, so I didn't read that in the book. I just got it from someone. All right. And network.
Yes.
A wise person told me this. Your network determines your net worth.
Whoa.
Ooh. I don't remember who that wise person was, but I remember.
Was that you, Chris?
That was not me.
It was not you. Okay.
And it's networking with educational influencers. And we loosely use the term influencers, but with social media, that's why I like Twitter. That's why we like this show. Back in the day, you were confined to your school, a couple of people in your neighborhood, maybe your district, maybe a conference. Now you can reach anyone in the world.
Mm-hmm. So can I hit you with a Spanish saying?
Boom.
Are the readers, are they ready for something in Spanish?
Yes, they're ready. They're ready.
All right, it's going to be in Spanish and then I'll translate it. So there's one of my favorite sayings in Spanish is, dime con quién tú andas y yo te digo quién tú eres. And basically that means, tell me who you walk with and I'll tell you who you are. Which means you need to level up and walk with people that are going places. If you're walking with people that are headed in the same direction and are influencers in math, that's what you're going to become. But if you're hanging out with people that are not go-getters, you're not going to get there. And so, like, how do you do that? Well, at conferences, I'm the first one that will walk up to a presenter and ask questions. And believe it or not, they're so open to ideas. And then you start to learn. Or join professional organizations and network there and volunteer, like, hey, I'll run the bookstore. I'll do this. I'll do that. Be a willing learner and network with people that influence, because hopefully they will take you under their wings and start to mentor you in some ways. I mean, I've been blessed that I've had people mentor me just because I asked the just right question. So be curious.
And being curious, I used to I made. When I was a professor, I had my doctoral students or master students. When they went to a conference, I made them identify 2 to 3 speakers that they had to go meet and introduce themselves to. And that was to get them to network, but mainly just so they can also see speakers. Look, we're real. People are real. Sometimes we get in this, they're mythical, the celebrityism, etc., which is fun, is cool. But at the end of the day, one of my mentors said this about anybody, and stuck with me. Everyone puts their pants on one leg at a time, no matter who you are. So understand when we're telling you to network with these different influencers, different individuals, I'm big on this. And my students, I used to tell them, everyone is approachable. No one is above, and no one is at the level where they're floating on the cloud when they walk through education conference. Everyone should be approachable. And I told my students, if someone is mean or rude, tell me, I will go approach that person. It has not happened yet, but even if you're at a conference and somebody you want to meet and you see me, I will introduce you to that person. But if you ever get a bad experience with a math educator, I'm not like the muscle of the group, but in the same token, I want to make sure we all stay grounded in the work that we're doing, and it's helping students. So let's recap. LEARN. First thing, everyone needs to learn through their professional organizations.
Right.
You want to become a math coach. You got to be a part of professional organizations. Right. You want to be a part of you want to be a math coach. You need to explore adult learning, because you're going to be working with adults. You want to be a math coach. I keep referring to, you want to be a math coach. These are the basic things you need to do. You need to be active on social media, engage on social media, follow different math educators. Then you need to read. Readers are leaders. You're a math coach. You're seen as a leader within your school building. Lastly, network. You want to be a math coach. You need to network with others they can be a math coach, or they could just be at an administrative position. But for me, I always worked at the level I was trying to get to. So if I was teaching in the classroom, in my head, I want to be principal, I was working as a principal in my mind and in my actions, not in my title. The same thing.
And if I could give a piece of advice too, like, lead where you are. So if you are not a coach yet, but you have a grade level team, lead that team. If you're a department chair, lead that department chair. Run a book club, lead them through professional learning. You can always be leading, because I think people see leadership as position. No, leadership is influence. If I influence change, then I'm a leader. So part of coaching is influence. So just because you get a title doesn't mean you have influence. I've met tons of coaches that have a title, but no influence. I've met teachers that are way more influential. So lead where you are and make sure that you're influencing change in a positive way in terms of student outcomes, right? Because we're all focused on student outcomes.
Students, do not let a title make you.
No.
You don't need a title to be a leader. Now, bonuses. We actually got bonuses. So we have LEARN, but we have bonuses. Just because, again, while we come with these 5 essential, you cannot limit it to 5. We just want to we know future aspiring math coaches started on the journey. So we've given you 5. We got a bonus. Here's the first bonus. Oh, I gave it away. I say here's the first bonus. We got 2 bonuses.
Yeah.
Here's a challenge. Interview your favorite mathematics education leader. Right now, so a lot of math education leaders are going to be like, Chris, you told all these people to email me and call me.
Yep.
Right now, if you're watching it in real time, or you're watching in March 2020, there's a downtime. Most math education leaders, I'm not saying they're just relaxing on the beach, but they have some free time. This is a perfect time to just get a couple of moments. You're not going to get 2-3 hours. A couple of moments to interview your favorite mathematics education leader. You can do it at conferences. You can do it when they come. But again, you want to be a math coach. You can't do what everybody else does, or you're going to get what everybody else gets. So interview your favorite mathematics education leader. What are your thoughts?
I would totally agree. I mean, that was part of my learning, was like, I always say, be curious. It's the same idea. Like, as when I meet people that are in the position that I want to be in, I ask them, how did you get there? What were some of the obstacles? What advice do you have for me? Like, have those 2 or 3 canned questions that you're ready to ask people when you meet them, because you could be at NCSM, and there's Tim Kinnold, or there's, the president of NCTM and you just want to say, you know what, like Robert Berry, I want to ask you these 3 questions. It's important that you're curious, because those little moments, those nuggets, I say, of like inspiration could help you on your journey. So always be curious and be willing to talk to people and ask them those questions. So your journey is a little easier.
Just ask. The worst they can tell
Right?
you is no, or I'm busy, but the
Yeah.
worst you can do is ask and they give you time. And no, now here's a tip before we go to the next bonus. Know a little bit about that person. Don't go up to the person, and also make sure it's that person. Don't go up to the person like, hey, Rick.
I'll say the wrong name.
Yeah, I'm not Rick. Or, so know a little bit about them. You do not need to recite their bio. I know some people say, hey, you did it. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm Chris.
Can I say, don't be like a fanatic either. It freaks them out a little. Just be yourself.
It depends. The
Like
fanatic thing, it can be fun. It can be fun. Like, hey. Now, if I'm in the zone, I'm like, all right, well, what's up? All right. Second bonus. This is the key.
Yep.
A lot of times we hold on to our hearts what we want to do, which I get, because when you tell people things, sometimes bad things happen, or some people actually try to discourage you or put roadblocks. For me, I believe in putting out in the universe so you can get what you want. But if the universe doesn't know you want to do this kind of stuff, how is it going to happen for you? So this is a big, all right, all of them have been big ones, because you all saying yes, this is a big one too.
Yes.
Have you let people know you actually want to be a math coach? I meet a lot of people and they tell me about these great things they want to do in education. I'm like, oh, this is great. Have you talked to your principal about it? No. It's great you're telling me, but you need to talk to key people about what you're trying to do. They can help you navigate it. For me and what I do, I've traveled a nice, crazy road. It makes no sense if we're connected for me to make you travel that nice, crazy road. So how can we make this thing a little bit easier? What are your thoughts for our future math coaches?
Yeah, like I find that people tell me all the time, I want to be a coach. So I always have in the back of my head this running list of people, because I'm in a position now where I get to hire coaches. So I'm, trying to give them advice about, hey, this is the work that you need to do. And now I know whether I have a place for them or I can send them someplace. I know in my mind people who have that desire. And then what I'm watching is, do you want to do the work? Like, are you focused on this? Is this the real deal, right? So what you focus on grows. My mentor, I have a leadership mentor that really helps me on that. And so if you're focused on coaching, do the work. I'm going to pay attention. And if you're doing the right thing, guess what? In my head, I know I'm either going to slip your name to somebody who I know is looking, or I might keep you for my team if I have the opportunity to grow my team.
This is a small world.
Yep.
A lot of people think math coaching is so big. And so this is a math education. I can run through and list the whole math ed world, and you all like, that's it. This is it. Mm-hmm. With that being said, as she's pointed out, you want a network. You want people to know you're interested. Now, some people are going to ask you to do things. You're going to have to do something. It's not saying you're just going to walk through the door. Like, you're going to have to do stuff, because we want to make sure you're tight. As my friend Deshauna House says, you got to be tight. We want to make sure you're tight. So we're going to ask you to do things. And also that lets us know, are you serious? Because a lot of people come to you, hey, I want to be a nationally known speaker. All right, great. I need you to submit a proposal. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to be big. No. You got to put in the work. Now, hopefully these tips have helped you. Don't tune off yet. We're going to go into the Ask the RK Child show. We're going to go a little bit deeper with just some Q&A. April Thompson, you will be on the Ask the RK Child show. Just putting a plug out there. When she's out there in the land, she submitted a question. But before we get to the show, and we have to wrap up this show. These are 2 shows back to back. Before we get to the next show, this is something special. You all are getting a lot of great information, but sometimes you have questions or you want to connect with amazing individuals. I need you all to connect with this amazing person right here. This is your chance.
Oh, geez, Chris. All right, I'm gonna
tell them how can they reach you, how can they get in contact if they want to follow up.
Right. So the easiest way to reach out to me is on Twitter at Math Coach Rivera. And you can DM me if you have questions about coaching, and I would be happy to share. I talked to Chris, and we're going to be sharing the resources that we talked about, right, Chris, on your website?
On the website. We're going to update it on my website.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the best place to get a hold of me. And I answer people on Twitter all the time. So there's no question that you should be shy about asking. Ask the question, because if I don't know the answer, I'll direct you towards the answer.
As you all know, I don't do endorsements. I don't bring people in my shows, circles, podcasts who are not what I think are the best of the best. Oh. If you have questions about being a math coach, you connect with me too. Like, I'm not saying I don't know my stuff, but in the same token, we got somebody. Hey, as always, check out the Inspiring Educators podcast, a space where you can learn, laugh, and let go. We post episodes bi-weekly. You need to subscribe to the podcast. It is the dopest podcast in the world, in the universe, in the hemisphere. This is March. I say this is March because someone may be watching this in December. In March, we celebrate Women's History Month. I spotlight a different woman every single day in March. Here, Dr. Christine Thomas. She's a professor of mathematics education, past president of AMTE, and her research, I love her research. She focuses on effective teachers of mathematics in urban high-need schools. Keyword being effective. If you look at all the research, our most vulnerable student populations have the most least effective teachers. Right. That's the research. Don't get mad at the research. That is the research. So I love the work Dr. Thomas is doing. Amazing work. Keep it up. Question of the day. What is your best advice to a future mathematics educator? Whatever you're consuming this on, post your response to that question. What is your best advice to a future mathematics educator? So that is the question of the day. Post your response. We want more people to become math educators. We need more good mathematics educators. And lastly, as I always end every show, this is your boy, Dr. Christopher J. Childs. We're developing problem solvers, not rule followers. And my superstar, amazing, I don't like just say STEM coach, like more than STEM coach. My STEM educational, I like that word, educational expert on the show today. Any final thoughts as we get ready to wrap up and then head over to the Ask DRK Child show?
So I would just say my final thought is, if you're serious about becoming a coach, focus on that, because as my mentor says, what you focus on grows. So if you focus on this using that LEARN acronym, it's going to happen. It's just you've got to put in the work, and that's what it's all about. And we're here for you. Chris is here for you. I'm here for you. You're not in it alone. We want to see more coaches. We want effective coaching, because especially for our urban schools, like, we want the highly qualified coaches in those schools, because we know math changes the quality of life for our students. So this is why I'm so passionate about it, is we want people to become coaches. Step out of your role, become a leader, and influence other classrooms.
It's been amazing. I thank you so much for joining, and I thank you so much for being a part of the show.